Welcome back. Here's where you left off. Spoilers ahead for chapters 16 through 21 of Expeditionary Force Book 19, Ground State by Craig Alanson. So, Leonard, there's one major thing that came out of these chapters that I want to ask you about. And we don't usually do this, but I want to go back in time to one of the previous episodes and earlier in the book. In these chapters, we learn that Scout 2 was destroyed, which is great. Wonderful. But there was this few paragraphs in a previous chapter that I didn't discuss with you that talked about the fact that Scout 1 was trying to communicate with Scout 2. And I'm wondering, did we know that Scout 2 was already gone before they revealed it in these chapters? Can you remember that?
To be honest with you, I don't remember that at all. Because I was reading it, I was trying to figure out, did we miss something? Did we miss a page or what? Because I don't remember any of that. I mean, we know that the primary was destroyed. The first one came out, got destroyed. We knew that two of them came back in, but we don't know what happened to the other, the first two. Like, we know they were out there, but I didn't know the one of the Scout was destroyed. I was not aware of it. So I was going to ask you the same thing. Did we miss something? Like, I'm trying to figure this out.
Okay. To be clear, they in this moment, in this scene, Scout 1 was like trying to communicate with Scout 2, and it made a note saying, I can't contact Scout 2. That's weird. And decided to go off. And it was only like a couple paragraphs. It wasn't even that long. But I remember thinking then, did I miss something then? Is Scout 2 gone? Because it was like a hint that he dropped. And now that we have confirmation that he was destroyed, I was thinking, did I miss that? Because I had the thought in the moment when I read it, and I didn't ask you about it in that episode, which was like, I think 2 episodes ago probably. And I'm like, why wouldn't I have asked Leonard about that? I was just wondering if you caught on to that at all, because now we're just down to one Scout that we have to deal with, which is a lot better, right?
It's a lot better overall in their scheme of things. But the Scout 2 one was kind of annoying because when I found out that Scout 2 was destroyed, I'm like, when was this? I was about to message you because I almost broke our rule that we do not talk about it until we talk about it, right?
I almost did too. I almost did that too. It's kind of funny. I'm like, did I miss something here?
Yeah, so I don't know. Let's just presume we know. We know that it was destroyed. Haha, hint, hint, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, I wasn't aware of it. Again, we probably just missed something. But this is where it gets interesting, though. This is where I start. When I was reading it, I was like I was telling you before we were recording, I was literally reading this while I was commuting to downtown to go for my appointments, and it was just this thing that there's so many things happened for that moment in time of like what's happening with Scranton, what's happening with the team. They were going back and forth between Jaguar and their mission about opening a subway tunnel so they can land in Jaguar itself. There was a lot of things that we just got bombarded with, and I want to start with their mission. Their mission profile changed significantly enough that they're, because the last episode we talked about the Skippy and Joe's trying to use the Max Salt's main dude to create a coup, right? But the end.
Well, I mean, I call the head guy the head poo bar. But,
yes.
Head poo bar, but that's not actually the guy. It's the under poo bar.
Yeah, he's the assistant to the director.
He's the head of their military. Basically.
Yeah, he's the Dwight Schrute of the Max Salt, the assistant to the branch manager or whatever. So, but
we find out that the head poo bar is able with his implant to destroy an entire fleet, which, you know, if you are that obsessed, it's a really interesting. When I read it, I was like, that is a dictator level of paranoia. Well, that is expressed in that in that need. And then Red Section is like, we're going to give you the ability to destroy any fleet that's near you. So that what's your goal here? Go to a little scout ship and like,
Yeah.
you are no longer loyal. I'm going to destroy you all. I'm like, that's not a way of ensuring loyalty.
Yeah, you made a good point though, because let's just say the head Poobar, the head guy in the Maxall, the guy who's actually in charge of the whole.
It's okay.
species.
You like Poobar. Go ahead. Use
Yeah.
it. You like it.
Yeah, the head poo bar. Okay, he is so paranoid that someone's trying to get him. As you say, they installed an implant, and the best thing about this, Skippy found this out because he was going through this. Going through the records, and he found out that the head doctor was experimenting. Next thing you know, they installed it. Next thing you know, that's why they stopped the coup. And when they explained that this guy can literally think about it, everything gets exploded. We're talking about, like you said, a high level paranoia of someone's trying to get him. This is like high level dictatorship deal. This is like high level like craziness here. Right, and for Joe and Skippy telling what's his name, Admiral Akbar, to don't do the coup because they can actually destroy everyone. And the good thing about this whole thing, I love it when Joe said, "Yeah, hopefully we didn't cause any havoc or some of his guys getting killed for stopping the plan like just before it gets executed." Right, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice of them." But either way, I'm just going out of the way here. But yeah, no, it's as you said, it's a very high level paranoia in him, and I'm glad they stopped it because it'll be deep down inside of me. It'll be cool if they went through it and this guy just blew everything up. You know, if he does that, it'll be like the war's done.
Well, what do you think about Skippy stopping the uprise? So they took the coup away, stopped it because he wants to have the ability to destroy an entire Maxo fleet. So is it better to have the enemy you know in power or have the guy you dislike so you could destroy a fleet? It's almost like they want to have their cake and eat it too. And I'm just not too sure about which was the better choice then for that, you know?
You made a good point though, because let's use this what if scenario. What if they didn't stop the uprising? The whole fleet gets destroyed. Would that accomplish their mission? Joe and Skippy's mission? Yes.
I'd say no, because they're only going to get rid of one fleet, which is a lot of ships. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't solve the underlying problem, which is the outsider. Whereas if they have their guy in charge of the whole hegemony, then like the hegemony is huge. One fleet is nothing to them. It's like it's annoying, but it's not. So I mean, it's like when he wrote it, I was like, Craig, you know, I get your reasoning here, but it doesn't seem tactically logical. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, this is what I'm thinking of. I understand what you're saying, but this is what I'm thinking. Let's just use this as an if scenario. If he does pull the trigger, and let's just say he destroyed one fleet, that's one less than they have to deal with. What if he ending up like timing in a way that he goes to a parade or whatever, like a military parade, and half the fleet is there? That eliminates half. But in my opinion, if the outsiders is using the Maxall fleet for his bidding, for his as an errand boy, if you get rid of a quarter of it, you know, that still makes the hegemony very weak enough that they can't provide half, like whatever's left over, to the outsider and try to get rid of the uprising or the other let's say the uprising. So you're splitting what's left. That's still weaker than what they have now, right? So that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I tend to agree with you about assuming it's a quarter of the fleet. I mean, that's a good argument. But they're going to need the power of the kiddies to defeat the outsider, and having the guy that's willing to do that is better than having the great Pooh Bar there who is going to do his own thing. Plus, I don't think that his plan to take over will be able to be put on hold forever, right? It reminds me of Valkyrie, the attempt to overthrow Hitler in World War II. How, once you sort of start down that road, you have to make certain choices that you can't unwind, right? And it seems like he unwinded some of the choices that he was making as an excuse, saying, "Oh, this was just a test of emergency procedures." Like, I don't know if the Great Pooh Bar is going to buy that stuff, So I wonder if there's going to be problems in the future for him.
That's why Skippy and Joe is kind of worried about that, because if something happens to his to the Admiral's guys, the momentum is gone. Like if let's just say the head guy found out that Admiral's guys did this coup, tried to attempt a coup, then he decided to kill half of them that he knows of. So now this uprising is kind of shot, right? He has 0 people now, and there's a target on him, right? That's one scenario of like, well, if we stop now, and if something happens to them, if nothing happens to them, that's perfect. Even more, they can continue with the uprising. They can find another time to do it, right? But stopping, they literally, like, they were about to start. They're like not even they're just literally ready to press a button to start this thing, right? But they stopped it, and you said they decided to say, hey, this is just an exercise to see the readiness of the troops, right? And that's a lot more that's more problematic, because the optics of this whole thing is like it's literally in their face, right? So in my opinion, for them, I wish you just went through it, because it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't type scenario, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Yeah. The damned if you do, damned if you don't didn't really translate, though, into the next problem we had, which is Joe and Skippy scanning for the outsider and trying to find. There's a whole section in the book here about them going and getting the fleet, scanning for the outsider, trying to track him down, going along forest lines. In a way, it kind of felt like a little bit of filler to me in the book. How did you feel about it?
I'm not mad at it. It does make sense, because if their plan makes sense to me, because if you're troubleshooting a system, if you're trouble solving a line of cable, you don't know where the break is. You normally start from the middle. If it's still transmitting a line, you go to the next one. So you cut everything in section until you stop, until the continuity ended. Then you work your way backwards until you find the break. Then you mend it. Right. That's how you normally troubleshoot a cable. In this case, they're trying to do something similar to it, because they know where the beginning is. They don't know where the ending is. So the only way you can find out the ending is you need to go forward to the future, trace what happened in between, see if it's still there, then they jump forward to see if there's something still there. They can still connect. They're still finding out there's still sensor echo. They keep bouncing until they figure out where the outsider is. Right? So I understand what they're trying to do. So logically, it makes a lot of sense. In an engineering perspective, it makes a lot of sense too. So the only way you can find out if the outsider went right or left, if you have to go forward to see the tracks. If the track shows that the outsider went to the right, then you go to the right. If you jump and the outsider did not turn right or left, so he's probably back a bit more. Let's go backwards to find out if the outsider turned right or left outside the lane, for example. So the way they're doing it makes a lot of sense, but the research that they did makes a lot of sense too, because you can have Valkyrie to go riding around doing the sensor thing, but the bigger the sensor net is, the better accuracy you can get, right? So it makes a lot of sense what you're doing.
I feel like he did it just for the Skippy toast to get it in the fleet.
The Skippy toast.
Skippy,
yes.
Skippy toast. It's like the middle finger goes up.
Yeah.
And, the worst drink possible is done. You know what? It's funny because I was laughing about it, and I'm like, if you get something into like a military culture, it's really hard to get it out. So it's like it'll just have a life of its own, and it'll turn into something that years and years later, people are like, why are we sticking up our middle finger all the time? It'll become a thing, right? It's tradition.
Yes, yes. It makes sense. The tradition makes a lot of sense. So I'm very happy that tradition's there, though. I do want to talk to you about what happened to the cyborgs, the alien cyborgs.
Well, let's hold off. Let's hold off on that for one second, and talk about Scarandum and Ginsta, and them viewing the destruction of the planet, of them, and how they frame them for that, and how Scarandum's like, Ginsta, well, look what you did. You blew up a whole planet. What?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think
I like the dynamic there. It's really interesting.
I think you nailed I think you nailed it last episode that the last two episodes. Skinsta and Scarandum's relationship is evolved significantly since day one, right? Because so now you got Scarandum still doing Scarandum things. You got Kinsta doing Kinsta things. And at the same time, remember, I think 2 books ago, Kinsta was working for the for another part of the military, taking care of all the corruption things, quote unquote corruption things, and he got kicked out of that and got transferred back to Scarandum. I think it shows the relationship between them, because we always said from the beginning we love Scarandum, we love Kinsta and their relationship since day one. And when they went separate ways, Scarandum's always there to say, "Hey, Kinsta, I know you're working for the enemy, but let's go have a drink together." And if you reread the last 2 or 3 books, there's always a father-son dynamic, or even a master and Padawan sort of dynamic, right?
I think that's how I describe Master Padawan kind of thing, or you might also say a gambler and his patsy.
You can say that. Yeah, you can definitely say that. Yeah. It's a really nice. It's a nice thing to see, because you have Joe and Skippy's relationship, you got Kinsta and Scarandum's relationship. If you look at it carefully, they're actually pretty close to it. They're it's the same. The only difference is you got Joe's and Skippy's relationship is more, I don't want to say transactional, but it's more a true good, like an amazing friendship between two beings, right? But if you look at Scarandum and Kinsta, you have the relationship it's similar, but more sort of, like you say, more teacher-student relationship, right? And
I agree, and that's a good relationship to see them in. It's a very their personalities are also very different. And I think that also plays against each other as well, which I really enjoy. Kinsta's like, I am not a sketchy, terrible person. I'm a decent person. And Scarandum is like, you don't need to be a decent person to get stuff done.
Exactly. I just need you to do your thing. That's all I'm asking you to do. Like Scarandum can see Kinsta's what he's capable of doing, right? And he's molding him in a way to take over his position. I think that's how I'm seeing it, right? And I think Kinsta knows that. He knows that he's being groomed, right? And if you definitely read in between lines, he is definitely being groomed in a way that if something happens to him, to Scarandum, he can take over without any issues, right? Still providing he's still doing his duty to his people. In the same time, why not just have fun with it, right? And Kinsta's always, when Scarandum always tell them, "Hey, we're gonna talk to Skippy and Joe," Scarandum is like, "Yeah, we're just gonna talk to them." But Kinsta is like, "Whoa, what do you mean we're gonna talk to them? Is this one of another deals that you're trying to make, right?" And and he always goes with it, and he's learning. In my opinion, he's definitely learning. I think he's going to be taking over after, right, when Scrandon decides to retire and not being too sketchy, right? So,
I mean, I don't know how Craig is going to write these characters to the end or whatever that might be, but I would like to see a standalone book of them in the present time, not a prequel, just focused on the Jarapta and doing their sketchy stuff, because that's fun, that it's fun to see them in doing that, and maybe expanding the characters a little bit more, and the Jarapta culture maybe a little bit more. That would be fun too,
yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about the aliens, guys.
Okay.
That was interesting. That was actually my favorite part about they ending up the gray MFers. I love how the story of sort of evolves significantly, because they're always been very they're very into their technology. They're very into making sure that the machine and humans are combined, and meat sacks are combined, and they're trying to evolve that way, right? They're like the modern version. That this is their version of a Borg is, right? And when they decide to attack the Mech Salt because it's time to attack, and they end up using their elder weapons that they hidden for so many years, so many centuries or decades or centuries. And the difference is they didn't rely on machines, implants or anything like that. They only rely on old-fashioned speak and writing.
Well, I mean, for Thrannen, this is, almost offensive to not have an implant, to speak, to so forth. And they did this all in the guise of security. And so there's a small group of them that are on an asteroid that have elder weapons, for God's sake, which was, you're right, a huge shock in the chapters. And funny enough, the way we've been reading them, I stopped us at the end of chapter 21, and I'm like, well, that's an interesting place to stop with the weapon going off. I'm like,
yeah, thanks for that, by the way. Thanks for that.
No problem. Are Sentinels going to come now? Who are they going to blame? I had this thought at the end of it saying, maybe they'll still blame Joe, saying that Joe gave the Thrannen the weapons. I thought that was an interesting idea.
That's a very interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that. I never thought about just them blaming the humans providing elder weapons to those guys. Yeah, I never considered that, actually, to be honest with you, because I was more mad because you decide to end the reading assignment at the end of 21. I'm like, son of a. Talk about a teaser in this one.
Yeah, I know. I wonder how this is going to go down in the next few chapters. But I'm more curious about the larger implication, because now that these guys, seriously, all I had was questions. Now that they've used the elder weapons, from their society's perspective, they're so backwards because they use names and they press buttons and blah, blah, blah. Will they just discard them? Because they've served their purpose now. They've done the thing they've been training for millennia. Their culture is different than the rest of the Thrannen. They name their kids and all that. So there's just so many questions in my head rolling around there.
That's actually pretty interesting. That's a very good question to ask, because, as you said, they evolve hundreds of years since they got this elder weapons to be disconnected, right? And they, as you said, they named their kids Frank instead of like Frank 5, right? Or those kind of things. Instead of having numeric numbers, it's just a name. And their culture ending up evolving to worship these weepons and how powerful it is. You can actually see it when they press the button. They're like, "My job is done." It's like,
it reminded me of I don't know if you ever watched Planet of the Apes when they worship the bomb or whatever, and I'm like, it kind of felt that way. I bet you that's where he got the idea from. I bet you that's
Could be, yeah. It was a very stark difference between their cyborg cousins compared to them. And you actually made a good point. What happened if they finish all this? Are they just gonna live their life the normal way that they know that their purpose in life is over? Because remember, even the books even says that this set of Tyrantans evolve in a way that they didn't rely on technology. They only rely on themselves. They rely on their old-fashioned way of doing things. Right.
I'm going to blow your mind even more.
Okay.
Because if you remember, there is a secret plan by Joe and Skippy that any time that the kitties or the Rindaloo take their elder weapons through a wormhole, they get deactivated. And they don't know that. So did the Tyrannan go through a wormhole to get to this planet?
I hate you.
No.
I hate you. I say no.
Yeah.
I hate you so much. Now my brain is like going overboard. Now it's just going overtime in this one. It's overheating. Can you not see? Can you not smell? My brain is like overheating right now.
You gotta do it properly. Like, Derek, I hate you with 1,000 suns. Skippy does the Joe.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, the last part of chapter 21 that they did press the button, right?
Yeah, it did work.
Yeah, it did work.
One of the five worked. One of the five worked. Four of them didn't do anything.
But I have the feeling that the reason why it didn't work because it's just never been maintained, or they haven't really maintained it.
Well, no. I mean, Skippy said in a previous book that they don't really know how to activate them properly, and so they're kind of stumbling around, pressing buttons, and only like 10% of the kitties stockpile or the other ones would actually work if they actually use them, right?
But that's based on information
aware of these problems.
Yeah, but the thing is, Joe and Skippy didn't know that this Tyrannans have them.
No, they don't. But again, I go back to the whole, did they go through a wormhole?
I have a feeling they didn't.
I was messing with your head. I don't think they did either.
Because remember,
I think
they went to a star that's not in their main solar system.
Well, I think that they had this base near a Maxo system where they could easily jump in and do it, right? So I don't think they went, but I just found it really interesting to think about that scenario when thinking back on the other books.
Yeah. So, speculation time, my friend. We got to do the speculation thing.
So, what are you speculating here? Because you got.
Oh, damn it! I asked you first.
Oh, okay, fine. So, I think that the kitties are gonna blame Joe. I think because they don't know. They said in the chapters that they don't know. They didn't recognize. Well, they recognized that it was a Tyrannan ship. But they also know how sketchy Joe and Skippy is, so maybe they blame it on them. Because as far as they know, nobody else has elder weapons. So why would they think it's a Tyrannan, right? Why would they not? And I wonder, I don't know, if Sentinels are going to come out. That's really what I'm wondering the most about. Because that would be a big hiccup for everyone.
Okay. I'm going to go a little bit more. Sort of when everyone finds out that a star was exploded through an elder weapon, there's going to be a WTF across the board. They're going to think it's the spiders, not the humans. They're going to say, oh my God, it's the spiders that actually blew this up.
It's a decent argument.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a decent argument. I can see it.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying the spiders is very simple and very straightforward. The humans, I already said, the only way they use their elder weapons if it gets used against them. Right? It's assurances. And the spiders has not been in this conflict for a while. Remember, they even said several times that when the spiders try to make a plan or try to make a decision, it takes years to figure this one out. If the argument is saying that the spiders said, enough of this, I'm done. There's an opportunity for us to take over the Mexalt. Let's do it. That's what's happening. Remember, they're still pissed off because the Mexalt lost. The spiders lost their world against the Mexalt, their homeworld. They're still pissed off about that. I have a feeling this is a This is a thinking in the Mexalt's like, well, if it's not the humans are trying to sort this one out, right? They have their own issues. If they said, oh, this is not the humans. This has to be the spiders. They're not going to go to the Tyrannid and say, hey,
right.
knock, knock. Do you guys have elder weapons that we didn't know about? They're going to say, you know what? We don't have anything. What are you talking about? You know? So I have this feeling they will never going to look at the Tyranids having these weapons at all. They're just going to be like, kaboom. They'll be like, see ya. They're going to disappear. They're going to have this massive question mark. And everyone's going to blame the humans, but they're going to realize it's not the humans. And they're going to start blaming the spiders in this one. That's my theory.
All I can say is I'm looking forward to the next few chapters, man. Join us next time as we review chapters 22 through 26 of Expeditionary Force Book 19, Ground State by Craig Alanson. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share a review. We love to hear from you. Send us an email at yourbookmarksinfo@gmail.com. Join us again right here where you left off.